Okay, took me a second to recover. Apparently, you don't want to record a stream when you're low on memory. So, essentially right now, what we're trying to do with this is understand the issues with buying a printer on eBay. And we've come to the conclusion that it's a craptastic idea. So hopefully, we can get more creative and fix this. We already know that the end stops work. I'm assuming the stepper drivers work because they don't usually break. I'm sorry, the steppers being NEMA 23s. So those should be good. The build plate for the actual stepper that sits over here was bent. It's actually out like that. So we know the frame is probably good. We still have to replace the actual hardware to put it together. So I'm going to have to order a bunch of parts. But right now I'm trying to assess what's wrong with this. So as you can see, this looks perfectly fine. You can see there's an adjuster bolt here. When they took this printer apart, they ripped out all the pieces. That's probably why, or it fell off a shelf and then this got bent. That's why we have so many issues. But the frame should be good. It looks like the frame cap is missing. We could probably reprint that. So I'm gonna have to figure out where to order these parts. And as you saw earlier, let me bring up the actual desk. The actual part that we're looking for, this says that it's about $20 for this. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna see if we can find this on YouTube, or excuse me, on Amazon. So over on Amazon, I got off sidetracked talking about replacement boards if we need to do that, which I don't think we do. So let's see if we can find this part someplace. Otherwise, I'm going to probably bend it back. So there's something similar to it right there. I might even have one of these on hand to actually try. But let's see what we got here. If we look at the actual part, you can see the bend in it right there. But the alignment might work or might not. So that part I have stored someplace in my apartment that this would be, but I don't think we have that. So let's see if we can find stuff for the Ender Pro. And see if they sell it. So it's not looking good. So the two alternatives that were suggested earlier is we actually print the part on Thingiverse, which the cost for this would probably be about like 30 cents, maybe $2 max. But the reliability of that part may be in question. So this is what the part looks like. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to grab this part and see if we can use this. That looks like it's reasonably easy to do. And it won't cost a fortune, but let's see. Looks like they have other Ender parts here. they're saying 40% fill. I'll probably do 40% initially. If it doesn't work, then I'll go to 80, 90%. 100% usually clogs your extruder, which is what we're trying to avoid. But to do this, you can download all files. You can tip the designer, which I recommend because I also do designs. But here's the actual part that we're looking for. Let me extract it real quick here. So basically on Thingiverse, you can find anything you need. And if you don't have a printer at home, you can always go to like your public library. They generally have one, or you can send it out to somebody, or you can buy the actual metal part. But here is the actual y-axis. It's saying y-axis dampener left and right, which I don't know what that means, but let's open up Cura and see what it looks like. And yes, my version of Cura is probably old. Now it might open on the other screen and I'll drag it over, but let's see what we get. And then I'll fire up the printer and print this part if it doesn't take too long. I may have to cheat and do it a little bit later, but here's the actual Cura setup. So let me do this. So this looks like it's mounting inside on the actual rail, and then they're only having 2 connections to the actual motor. So that's one possible route. Let's see what the other part looks like. So they look exactly the same, except they're different. So let's go with this one first. Let's see what the print time on this is going to be. I might have to grab a different part depending upon the actual screw depth, which is going to be different. So we can check that real quick. If we go over to the desk, I can unscrew these if I've got the right screwdriver. Give me a second to grab the other one. Where did I put you? Sorry, there's another one on the table someplace because I made a mess of the place. Hang on, I got a whole nother jar of these. There we go. Hopefully this is the right size. Too small. So it looks like they're not going to fit through unless we modify that part. Or we're going to have to get longer versions. I believe these are M2s or 3s. They're probably 2 or 3s, pardon me. Whoop. Good times. Okay, here's the actual issue. If you haven't seen it, it is bent. So I might bend that back in a couple hours. I just have to take a very smooth surface and hammer it down, or maybe take it into work and compress it, but I usually don't do fixes at work, so that's probably not going to occur. But you can see that it's not flat. It's actually bent. So let's go back over to the computer for a second and see if we can find a better solution. Otherwise, we could modify this so that there's some depth to it by opening it up in, let's see if we can do this real quick. It's going to be OpenSCAD. and we'll open up a new project. Let me bring it over so you can see it, and I'm gonna open this file, or I'll show you this trick. So we'll bring this over here, and then we'll hit render. So it's pointing to this location, and now we have the part so that we can see it. Now if we want to change the depth, what we need to understand is how far down it is. That looks like about 5 millimeters. So what we can do is first we can change where this is in space by saying translate. And these will be the X and Y coordinates. So 0, 0, 0. And then we'll indent this just to make it look pretty. And then re-render. And nothing will happen. So what we're modifying is actually right here, I believe, because the mount side is going to be right here. So what we need to do is first bring this down to the surface. So it's going to be the y-axis. So in this case, looks like that one's on center of, well, it's not even centered, but that's fine. So let's bring this down negative, I gotta look at this here. It looks like 20. So negative 20. And then we'll re-render it. And it looks like we're flat on the surface now, or close to it. There might be a small gap. So maybe negative 21. And then render it again. We may have gone too far. So that might be 20.5. So that's close enough. So now what we're going to do is we're going to find out where the holes are. So I'm going to zoom out, and we're going to put this inside a function. Hopefully this works. So we're going to say difference, then a paren, then we'll create an actual indentation, move this over, and close it, and then in front of it we'll do another translate. We'll say, let's see, 0, 0, 0. Then we'll say cylinder. And what we need to say is diameter. In this case, we'll say that it's 3 millimeters just to start, comma, the height. And we'll say the height is, let's say 2. And then the circumference roundness, which is $FN for number of facets. And we'll say 30 for now and end it with a semicolon. Let's see what happens. So it's probably not going to show much except for right here. See that? So what we can do is a couple of things to try and center the hole. Looks like we're almost centered. And we also know that this distance over here is knowable, meaning from here to here in the center, we know what those are. So we just have to center this piece. So I'm going to change this to 20 for now. I'm going to take it outside the loop, or excuse me, the function, paste it up here, and then we'll see if we can see them together. This may or may not work. It's been a while since I've done this, but let's try it. So we do see it. So let's move that up. What is it? The axis that we're in is the y-axis that we need to move up. So we'll try moving this 5 millimeters to see what happens. So we moved too far, so it looks like it might be 2.5. So let's see what we got. Okay, that's almost perfect. You can tell that there's an issue. So let me see if I can turn off the grid for a second. There we go. Let's see if we can turn off the other one. So let's move that up. Looks like it's 3. Okay, so we know that's dead center. Now we can cheat and we can go over and we can say NEMA 17 dimensions. And we can then find out where the other hole is. So if you look over here, it's 31 between the 2 holes in the center. So let's go over and try that. So we're going to create another one of these by copying it, paste it right here. Then we'll turn back on the grid. And it looks like we have to go in the negative direction. So we'll say negative 31 and see if we get another one. Okay, so negative 31 doesn't appear to work because, let's see what we got here. That looks way off. So I don't even know if we're sized correctly based on this. This part might not be actually accurate. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up a new instance with Control N. So we have a new tab. We're going to go back over to Thingiverse. And we're going to see if we can find a different part, because apparently this is where it's being mounted through. And I don't have any clue what they're doing, because this isn't an actual part. That looks like it's metal. So this part might not be accurate. So let's go back, and I'm going to check on the chat real quick. Let me just put the camera on the desk for a second and see if there's any wise things here. Yeah, Minecraft Cord, I'll chat with you in a second about that. Let's see. Yeah, I haven't done a live stream in a long time, for people that don't know. Usually I'm working late all the time, so that's one of the reasons. And for some reason I'm watching the live stream go very off timing. Something is wrong timing wise on my live stream. But that's okay. It looks like I'm behind by several minutes. Let's see. Those were POM wheels and eccentric nuts. There are heat bed wires still attached to the bed. Yes, there are heat bed wires still attached to the bed. So I am looking at your comments right now. Let me pop back over. And you probably can see what I'm looking at, but let's go back over here and see if we can sort this out. So we're looking for an Ender 3 mount that could be used as actual printed part. So that one says X-axis. This one we already tried. So let's see what else we got here. These apparently are not that good for parts. This one right here looks like the winner. So this one looks like we can stick on. Let's see what we got here. So it looks like they even have the actual end stop built in. So maybe this is where we'll go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this part down and see if this looks Good. Remember to tip your designers. Let's go over here and see what we got for a part. So I just pulled down this one. I'll open the folder, files. This looks like the one we just pulled earlier. Looks like there's a Y dampener and then another Y dampener. So let's go over here and pull it over. And then see what we have. So this one looks like you can mount right through it. The thickness I'm unsure of, but it looks like it's usable. Let's see what this looks like in comparison to the part that we have on the desk. So if I go over here and I look at the part, what we're looking for is an offset. So that may be the part right there. So this is probably what we want to go with for a print, and then see what happens. You got your 4 mount holes here, 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 and here. This is going to mount on the back. Hopefully this will work. So that one's going to have to do for now. So let me delete this. I'm going to keep the print quality at 2 millimeters. This is probably going to take a couple hours to print, just because I don't want to turn up the speed. So I'm going to click over here. I'm going to do the rotate, and then if you've never used this, you click this, and you want to get the surface so that you can work with it. Now there's an issue here where we've got a little space under here. I don't like printing in midair, so there's a couple of ways to deal with it. So if we look for support, or let's try a render first to see if it's on. So we'll slice it. And then you can check the preview of the actual slice. It looks like it's 1 hour and 53 minutes. Let's do the preview. And as you can see, there looks to be material under here that's supporting that's on. So I'm going to go with that for now. I'll show you where that is real quick. So if you go to support, inside here, there's usually a support setting. So let's see what we got here. Generate support material, and it's set to tree. So if I were to change it to normal and re-render, you'd see a slightly different one. I like using tree support because it breaks off easily. So that would be the other support that you could use right there. So I'm going to go with tree support because I trust that it's probably going to work. And I'm going to have to drop this into my printer. So let me boot that up real quick here. And I don't have the camera on the actual printer, so I'll show you this printer for the moment. Okay, well, looks like I'm going to have to do some work on my other printer because I let the filament sit and absorb some moisture. So basically that's just trimming back the filament to where it's more dry, and then putting it into the actual printer and feeding it in. So I'll take care of that in a couple minutes. We'll go back to looking for parts here, and hopefully we'll address that some other time. So let's see what we've got here. This looks like it's actually 2 pieces, by the way. So that means that we're going to probably have to print the other side as well, which is right here. But that's easy enough to do. You've seen the process. And then the part that we found being here, this is a little expensive. So let's see if we can search on it and see if there's another place to buy it. So let's see, there's eBay and eBay. So let's see if there's a second one. Okay, this one looks like it's in the UK. And doesn't go to the US. So that's not going to work. So let's try doing an image search. Let's see, in stock. Visit site. Okay, this one looks like the exact same part. So let's see if we can go back here and search on this part. So what I'm concerned about is shipping price. I know it shouldn't be that expensive. This is an alternate that you can go with Amazon. But we need something that aligns hole-wise. So it doesn't look like we're going to find the alternate part for a reasonable price for shipping. So this is going to be like, what, $19? So I'm probably not going to go there. So let's see if we can find something, anything. This should be a common part. This also might be why they put it up for sale on eBay, this actual printer. Let's see. Nope. The other option is to buy a second printer and hope that it's not bent, but I don't suggest that. Even buying one is a little bit of a chance with your money. It's amazing though, you can't find a simple part that you know exists, so let's do Creality parts. Creality parts. And let's see if we can search on it. And that's super not helpful. That's awesome. And you gotta love all these pop-ups. So I don't see it here. Let's see if Amazon has anything. I have a feeling they're not going to have it. Obviously, these are not a bad idea. So far I don't think we're gonna find it. Granted, we know where to find it now. What do we got here? That looks like the Z-axis. Yep. And it's a dual, which, you know, I'm not really into, but whatever floats your boat. I'll check on the comments in just a second. I just want to run through here and see if I can find this part. So far we got nothing. Of course, there's 20 of these, which I don't really want to go through. That's interesting, but a little expensive. If you haven't figured it out, I like to do things on the cheap because I don't think things are that expensive to do. And I've never done this on this printer. Kind of like the remote extrusion. But other people like it. It's more reliable. This might fix one of the other problems. Let's see. CR10 doesn't say Ender 3. Yeah, it's looking like we're gonna have to go down this route for the Ender 3. So let's take a look over at the desktop while I check comments. I know that the actual recording seems to be out of sync. So let's see what we got here. Plastics looks like a poor choice for the mounting or the mount in that location. Easier to keep them from wrapping them sometimes. Did the printer manufacturer supply the STL for the replacement part? Probably not. And the reason is because this I bought on eBay, and I knew that I was getting into trouble the moment I ordered it, but I wanted to see how expensive it would be to fix. The printer costs approximately $90 on eBay, and I knew I was going to get a box full of crap. So the question was, what crap is it, and how expensive will it be to fix, and will it be cheaper than buying a printer? Now, I don't suggest doing this if you're new to 3D printing, but for me, this conceptually is easy to do. I'm just worried about cost. Plus, I have lots of spare parts. I just don't want to bring them into the video just yet. But essentially, there's some issues that we had to sort out with missing parts and broken parts. And here's one broken part, being this little guide is actually bent. So it's easy to fix with a hammer on a flat surface. But the question is, I gotta go find a flat surface and hammer it out. Let's see. Got another comment here. Hello, sorry for bothering you. I want to offer a promotion for your channel. Viewers, follow the views, chatbots, etc. This price is lower than any other competitor, quality guaranteed, blah, 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 blah. So essentially someone's advertising, so we'll let that go. Yeah, the bent metal part is painful. I'm hoping that this can be easily resolved. I mean, it's about 3 millimeters thick. Maybe a little bit more, but a hammer might take care of it. But on the flip side, also, I don't like having to straighten my own parts. Plus, I don't have a nice flat surface I can hammer on because I'm in an apartment building. So that's going to be fun. So I may spend the actual $18, $19 to buy it. But for now, that's just one thing that we have to worry about. So let me start a parts list. So parts for fixing reality. Ender 3 Ender 3. So this isn't a pro as far as I can tell. But let me switch over here. So the first thing that we need, that we know for sure, is going to be this part right here. So we'll put this into here. So we need one of those. We're gonna probably need some of those capture wheels. So the estimated cost for this is gonna be $19 on eBay, we'll say. There may be an alternate to printing it, but we'll figure that out. That would bring the cost down to $2. But there are issues when you're printing with plastic, meaning that you're using it for your access, where it might cause an issue. I also have another plate that I actually can go grab that I can show you that we can use for an alternate that's cheaper. So let me grab that real quick so you guys can see that and talk amongst yourselves for a second. Well, no dice on that. So I guess what we're gonna have to do is look for Ender 3 hardware. Ender 3 hardware screws. So we got here. What's the cost on these? That's kind of steep. Let's see what's in them. So we need several of these. Could probably do multiple printers with these, which is a good thing. But it's not all the hardware we need, and that looks like it's $28. Let's see what the sizes are. So we need an M4, is it? Let's see what the directions say on this. M5. M5, that's only 20 millimeters, that's not going to work. Let's see what we got here. Doesn't even go to M5, so that's useless. So let's search on Amazon is useless. See what we got here. Doesn't even get up there. So we got McMaster's, where we could possibly get these. We can get a box of 5 for $4. So let's try doing this. Let's say 1. With McMaster's, you got to order a bunch of stuff, so let's see what we got here for stuff we need. So there's 4 of them. Then we've got M5s. Trying to figure out where this part goes, but let's go through here and see. So we know there's 4 of them right there for the 45, which is this one. So we know we need these. So let's put that in here. And then the top bolts we're going to have to figure out as well, because I know those are missing. I'm guessing those are M4s, but let's go through the directions and see. That's real descriptive. There we go. So Allen key stuff I'm not worried about for the actual motors. M4s probably have on most of the parts. So as you can see, this is the actual rail, and I don't know if we have all the parts for that, so that's going to be some fun. And I know they mount into, but we know we have this part, we have this part, we need belts. Let's start with belts. So Ender 3 replacement belts. This should be on here. Here we go. Timing belts. Question is it for the actual printer? So original 3D printer parts, timing belts, doesn't say, but it looks like these are extremely long. Let's see, Creality, timing belts, Ender 3 belts. So that's going to be about $9. Might be able to find that cheaper. But that takes care of both X and Y. So let's see, that's $9. Let me go back and check in a second. Okay, that's going to be about $9.44 plus tax, so probably just over $10. So the belts we're all set with. And for those that joined late, what I mean is when we took this apart, we found out the belt. Let me see if I can find it here. The belt's on the bottom of the Y-axis only had one side on it, and then the other side looks like it was cut or ripped off. So that we can't do anything with. We do have our end stop still. We have the part here where we can mount and the screws. I've dropped them down below. We're missing these, which are used to mount the actual, that looks like they actually sheared it. That's so weird. They really did some work on this printer. And then we need the belts that go on the X-axis where your extruder is. So this is going to function like that. It's got 3 spots where it mounts on the rail. We already know we have the rails. If we wanted to upgrade this printer and actually make it taller, we could actually order new rails on, forgot what the name of the website is. Let me check here. Let's see. Cut aluminum. It's like Moishada or something. Let's see, shopping. Extrusions. Granger might do it as well, but there's a particular company that I usually use. Where are they? Mashudo or something? Okay, that's the actual piece that we would buy if we want to make the x-axis, or excuse me, z-axis longer. I don't know if that's the exact one. I think it's 20 by 40. But let's see if we can search on that. $20 by 40. 2040. Let's do all. Apparently I'm not going to find the company off the top of my head here. Mizumi. Here we go. So you can ask them to actually do this special for you. Essentially you say how long you want it. It's been a while since I've used this web page, but the length you could say is currently the one we're using is 250. You could probably make it upwards of 450 for the length. And then you can actually set them or have them tap the holes for you, I believe. So we'll go with black anodized. And then there's something where you can specify the holes. It's been forever since I've used this. But essentially we're going to have to tap the holes on both sides. I'll do this some other time for you guys, but essentially there's ways to actually request how you want it done over here. And they'll show you a drawing, I believe, when you do it. So like 3D peer review or preview, sorry. So this is what it currently looks like. Then you can add tapping over here. So let's see if we can search on tap. Might be dye. Whoops. It's not going to allow me to search that way. Tapped ends, both ends or one end? Okay, so there's a tapping that it can occur. I don't know how it's going to look. There we go. So there's a tap. I don't know if it's all the way through. Looks like it's only right to here. So let's see what I specified. But there's going to be several things that you have to do to your part. There's going to be a hole that you may have to tap for your end stop on here. But this is how you'd make an actual bigger part if you wanted to lengthen or heighten your printer. Maybe I'll do a tutorial on it someday, but for now, let's get back to what we were actually talking about. So I'm going to go over to the desk camera and check the comments. Let's see. Yep, some of you guys already knew before I said it. Let's see, just order 5 to 10 meters of the, yeah, I could order the actual belt and then clip it off. That's another way to do it. Yeah, there's a Granger, but it's, I believe, in Buffalo. So I'd have to drive there. Or I could go to the hardware store like either Lowe's or Home Depot and actually get these parts. Or there's an Ace True Value, I think, down the street. Those are a couple of ways that we can deal with the actual missing hardware. But right now I just need to make a list of what's missing, and then we can actually address that as we go. So let's get back to seeing what we're missing. So I know the bed, for those that join late, is missing these. So the hardware for this is an actual screw, and I think what they threw in the box earlier, I picked it up and showed you guys that it was sheared. I think this was the actual part, and they sheared off the top. So they lost the actual pieces here that are used for adjustment. So there's a piece here and a piece here that'll have like a hex nut. Someone was talking about it in chat earlier. So that's what we need to replace. I think we have the two bearings, being this part that actually mounts into the rail. I think I put those back in the box. So we're gonna have to see what we can find there. So if I go back over to the desktop, we're gonna have to search on, I don't know, Creality rollers. That's really cheesy thing to search on. So here's the part. So this is what it looks like, I'm guessing, for what's missing. We don't need all of it, that's the issue, but we do need the actual bolts, and these bolts don't look correct for the Creality. Plus it says Anycube. So let's see if there's something down below. Let's try Creality Ender 3. And of course my search is horrible. So someone's probably saying in chat what it is. But they keep showing Anycubes. There we go. Creality CR10. Those might work. But let's see if there's anything else. Yeah, it looks like we left the neighborhood of what we're looking for here. So, Creality. Let's see what we got in here. We don't actually need this part, but we need something that's similar to it. And I think it's this stuff. But I really don't want to go with that if I don't have to. And I might do this on Sunday if I can get most of these parts in. But I'm getting a weird feeling that's not going to happen. This might be next Saturday, or not this coming Friday, but the following Friday. Maybe I'll do a stream on it. But the whole trick here is to try and keep this under the price of what a Creality Ender 3 would go for on Amazon. So it's $219. I've already spent maybe $90. So I want to come in about $150 if I can manage it. Now, a couple of ways. Someone said modify the actual belt length yourself, which is not a bad idea, but I'm lazy and it's only $10, but that pushes me up to $100. So I've only got a budget of $60 total, I'm guessing, because I'm probably going to end up selling this printer to a coworker. So let's see what else we need to think about as my camera goes off again. Hang on, I gotta press the button. Let me bring it back to the other screen while I search for it. There we go. Okay. So we know we need the belt there. We need the two pieces to mount right here for this, and they're probably going to be the hex nut shape. Someone's already said in chat what they probably are. That's the adjustment one. That's why I think that causes it to move in a certain direction. But it looks like these are hex nuts here. So this might be a Home Depot thing where I can take one of these out and measure it. And then the actual hex, I'll have to figure out where to find that. Let's see what's in the box still. So this part looks mostly stable. There's the actual X end stop already installed. This doesn't look too beat up. And everything here, there's the adjustment again, looks good. So I'm not going to worry about this part, except for mounting it might be an issue. I think we're going to need mount screws, so I'll have to look into that. So that's probably in good shape. Power supply more than likely works, except right now it's set to, looks like an international voltage of 230 volts instead of 115, but I could be incorrect. I have to actually look at my other one. That actually is a little bit nerve-wracking, what we're seeing here. So it says Before powering on, please check the input voltage to avoid damage. And 115 volts versus 230, I thought was Europe versus the US. But let's see what it says here. It's 24 volts. Input power. So I'm going to have to check that before I actually fire it up, or I'll just change the power supply out, which is not difficult. It's just unscrewing it and putting another one on, but I think it is usable. Obviously, I've got to check that because I thought it reads differently. Let me see, on my other one it says 110 versus 220, or 100. Let me see. On my 24 volt power supply on my desk, it's 210 versus 230. And right now it's set to the US standard of 110. So this 115 thing is definitely a little nerve-wracking. It's almost like they bought these internationally. And this part doesn't seem damaged. This is the actual end of the X-axis that goes on the Z. So it probably sits like that. And then this bolts into the X-axis bar that comes across and goes up and down on this side. So that we know is probably good. I don't see any bends in it. So they didn't damage that. So it's looking like for $150 we're going to be able to get this. Actually, I'm a silly goose. Check this out. Apparently I wasn't paying attention earlier. Ta-da! So we don't have to worry about that. So maybe we'll assemble a bit of this, and then look, we got one belt at least. Granted, that looks very small. I don't even know if that's even a belt for this actual printer. And I'll show you what I mean. You guys know that this is going to be at least 200 millimeters or 400 millimeters long. So actually that probably is the X-axis one. So we may only have to fix the Y. So that's a good step. So maybe this isn't as bad as I thought. So maybe I'll do some assembly while I've got time here, because it looks like I got at least another hour that I can fill up the time. So let me put this back down in here. I'm going to put this back down, and we'll just start to build up the printer and see what we can find. So this is going to be a mess. So let me put this down. So it might be that we only have to buy maybe $40 in parts, and then this won't be a bad deal. This may or may not be an issue. It looks like this extruder may never have been used based on what I'm seeing, but there's a kink right here, which means that this might have to be extracted, but they glue them in usually on the first printers. So the trick is to push down here like so, and then pull up, and it's not pulling up, so it tells me that this is probably glued at the bottom, or it's been heated. So there's a kink here. If you can get past that kink with your filament, you should be good, but I'm not going to overthink that. So let me get some of this off the desk. Power supply is probably something I'm going to have to test with the multimeter. Some of these parts I'm going to have to put in a cup. Some of them I can keep not in a cup. But let me get these out of the way. So essentially, we're going to have to turn this on its side. Move this over. We've got our bolts here. So there's a total of 4 of them. And they have their washers, which makes life even easier. Then I have to grab the actual posts. So these are the 20 by 40s. Sorry, it's going to take a second for me to take it apart. I might have to take a little knife to it. Hang on a second. Of course, they don't make it easy. Okay. So we got one side here, one side here. Now, based on what I'm seeing here, that's where the power supply is going to go. So the question is, I'm 50-50 on my guess as to how to mount it. So I'm guessing the bolts are going to be on the outside, being these. Here, but let's check the directions, because you know that would be smart. So let's go back over here, see if we can find the directions. So back up in here, we already passed through here. So these are the 2 that we're looking at, and this is going to be on the right side if you're facing the printer with the control panel. So let's see if they actually talk about it. So the holes look like they're right here, but there we go. So they are on the inside. So that's the right side that we're going to do. So let's go back over and try that. So essentially, you're going to take your M5 45mm, stick it all the way through. These 2 holes are going to point to the inside of the printer, and then right here you're going to screw right through. Obviously this is going to be somewhat interesting because I am trying to screw in a limited space. So let me see if I can match up the hole. There we go. Okay, that's the first one. It's not fully in yet. I'm going to do the second one. And let me see if I've got an actual driver that will take care of this quicker. Probably not. So let me grab their tools. Thought I threw them in the box. Got to be careful because I know there's a big needle sitting in this one of these packages that you'll never need to use. The needle they put in to clear the print head, don't use it. Just replace the entire assembly, because your life will be a lot easier and you won't have to keep fixing it over and over because it can't be fixed. Once your print head goes, that's it. So let me move this over so you can see what I'm doing. So essentially, as you guys make fun of my skill with using a hex wrench, there we go. That's one. Let's do the other one. There's 2. Tighten this one down a little. Okay, so that's one side. Now we got to do the other side while I try not to bang into my camera. So this one we have to consider where we're mounting the actual motor, and it looks like it's equal on both sides. So you have 2 holes here, then you have your mount holes. So let's double check the directions, because you know how good I am at following them. So it says the 2 holes right here for the shorter, and then you got this. So looks like the left side and the right side are oriented 90 degrees to where they want to be. So let's do that. So let's go back over. I'll check the chat actually. Let me put it back over here and see what you guys have for suggestions. Let's see. Yeah, US is 110 or 120. So 115 is kind of in between. Let's see. Yeah, Masumi is one of my favorite places to order from, but usually I order in very large amounts. Like this little frame that you guys see right here for the camera, that was all from Masumi. And then I designed the parts to fit around it. Let's see, do the bed first. I wish I could do the bed first. The bed is foobar because it's missing parts. So obviously I can't do the bed first. I wish I could. So it's looking like we gotta do the bed last. And I'll show you why, because if you weren't able to see, this is how it arrived. So it's missing these 2 mounting pieces over here. So I'm gonna have to order those, but I need to find out what my expenses are gonna be on this printer. So the heat bed I'm not super worried about because I can fix that, but doing this in a very congested space on my desk is good times. So I can't see what I'm doing on the other side because it's on the other side. Sorry, I'm being master of the obvious. So let me see if I can turn this so I can show you what I'm doing without making a total mess. Disconnect that for a second. There we go. And I missed the hole. There we go. That's one. There's the second one. This has got to be the worst assembly video ever for the Creality. But I'm hand turning the nut just so I don't destroy it. So that's in there. Now I gotta tighten this down and give you guys a better view, or at least try to, without knocking over everything. So where did I put the hardware to do this? There we go. So we're good there. Then we'll go back and actually read the directions. So this is the front of the printer where my right hand is. Let me get some of this out of the way so I can put it back down. I did drop a bolt, but hopefully it's not one of importance. Okay, so we're good there. Let's go back and see what we got for directions. So we're done with this. Let's just make sure. Now these are already on the actual bolts, so we don't have to worry about that. We've done left and right. And of course we found the Allen key in the package that I didn't look at. So now we can mount the actual display. That's super simple. So the display, let's see. I'm trying to figure out which is which. And of course it's labeled super clear. So it's M5 by 8 millimeters for the display. So I need to find that in the actual box. So let's see what we got here. Whoop. I'm taking the needle out just so you guys don't see me stab myself 100 times. I don't know why they even put this in here other than to have people get stabbed on TV or video. So that is for the top to mount your filament feed. I actually have a different way of doing it where I make an arm. Those look like covers for the top. Okay, is there a label on this? There is. Let's see, these are M4 18 millimeter. That's not what we're looking for. These are M4 20 millimeters, and we are looking for M5 or M4 20 millimeters is, no, it's M5 8 millimeters. That's for something else. M5 8 millimeters. So let me open these up. I'm only going to take 2 out for now. So 1, 2. Let me put these back in the actual container. Let's see if I can actually use this. There we go. So this, let's see if I can push this back without damaging too much, is going to mount right here. So take one of these. This wasn't really meant to be an assembly video, guys. This was just, is it worth it to buy off eBay? And as you can see, it's good times. I mean that in the most sarcastic way possible. But hey, my coworker is going to be really happy when I say it's 150 bucks, even though I spent, what, 3 hours on it? That makes logical sense, right? By the way, there's the other end of the sheared bolt. The good thing is we're not going to have lots of parts laying around that we're not going to know what to do with after this is over. We'll know exactly what we need. Okay, that's tight. So display is done, this is done. We can't put on the actual Y-axis until we assemble it. So I'm going to move this back and hopefully not damage my camera in the process. This is going to have to go on the Y-axis. So let's pull that bar out. So on here, there's 2 bars in here. It's the longer of the 2, which I identified earlier. Let's see what they did here. As you can tell, I love unwrapping stuff. The other one, by the way, the shorter of the 2 is the top piece of these 2. The only reason I know this is I've already assembled way too many of these printers. Okay, so this is going to be at the top, and this is going to be your x-axis, if I can ever dig it out. And you can't see anything I'm doing right now because I didn't put the camera over there. Okay, so right now I'm doing the x-axis. Apparently I was talking, not checking the camera. So hopefully there's still people here. Let me check to see if you're still in the chat. Yeah, it looks like we still have people here. Let's see. I will need help when my RAM's 1.4 Mega 2560 to code it. Virus, there's actually a Discord chat. It's actually linked in the description. What you can do is you can go into the Discord chat, and in the general chat, a lot of people can answer that actual question for you. But currently, right now, we're kind of focusing on me messing up on buying a eBay version of a cheap Ender to see if we can recover it and make it work. So at the moment, that's what we're focused on. I will answer questions in Discord when I get time to do it. But currently, there are a lot of people that can answer your questions on changes that may have occurred on tutorials I recorded, what, 6 years ago? So let me get back to doing this. So on the desktop, I have to go over and figure out where I am. So down here, we've already taken care of some of this. It looks like they want us to mount these first because, you know, I'm a goofball and I jumped around. So we already took care of this. We can't do the bed at the moment. So what we'll do is we'll do the side end stop connector, I think it is. Yeah, or the Z axis limiting switch install. So what it's saying right here is, let's see, we're going to need the 3mm Allen wrench. Hopefully they'll give us better view on this. Let's see if I can turn this because I know it's going to be on this side. So that's going to probably mount into the actual axis. But let's see if we can put the Z in. I know that's already pre-assembled partially. Sorry, I'm digging around for the stepper, which is probably sitting up on the desk. Or not. Here it is. So this, you got to put screws through. Now I don't remember if I have to take this off to get the screws through, but it looks like I might have enough room to get them through, so I got to see what they are. But they're going to mount right here. Granted, this wire seems a little short. Oh, that one is for the end stop, so that's no issue. But this, we got to line up the holes. And got to get this over here for now. So there may have been, it looks like, sorry, you can't see what I'm doing again. So I'm messing around with this to try and get it on. I've noticed that this over here, this plate, might be getting in the way because it's not centered right. So it does appear that this dropped some time ago when they were actually figuring out a reason how to get rid of it. So let's see if we can fix it. So I gotta figure out which bolt size it is here. Apparently I'm way too big on that one. So I'm guessing it's this size. That's not it. So I may have to grab a different one of these. Yep. So let's see. Here we go. So I'm just gonna loosen these and see if I can slide this over. Okay, so that might have been why they had trouble assembling, or this dropped off a table. So I'm tightening that down, and that down. And hey, look, that's coming out to be pretty cool. So let's go back over and check on the desktop what we need for bolts. So it says M4 by 18P. So P is probably the head right here. So let's see if I can find those real quick. Okay, it looks like I may have found them. So let me go over to the desk. So these look like they are them. So let's take these out. See if I've got the Allen size for this. That's too small. It's too big. That's just right. So let's put one in here like so, and we'll do the other one like this. And then we'll try and line them up. There we go. So we'll find the hole. There's one. I'm kind of doing this without seeing it, so we'll find out if I'm actually doing it in a second. Yep, I'm not doing it. There we go. Okay, those are installed. Now this is the Z-axis. So let's take out that bar. I know it's not the right order to do this probably in the directions, but this looks like it's never been used. And the trick to this is it's going to be the same on either side. This looks like it's a 2mm pitch. So essentially, I'm gonna drop it in here, and I wanna get that all the way to the bottom. That's the trick for this. And then tighten down the hex over here. So it's one of these. So I'm gonna turn it towards myself. And you're gonna tighten both top and bottom because it might be loose on the actual motor. But you're gonna get that as taut as possible. And also you're probably going to have to realign this. If it doesn't align up right, you'll loosen the bolt and you'll center it so it's perpendicular to the surface. But for now, I'm just putting it on so that I don't have to look for it later. So that's done. So now that we're good there, I can already tell this is misaligned. So I'm going to turn it, loosen it, and I'll make it straight as soon as I get the right hex driver in here. Of course, that's not the right one. That's not it. Did I put it underneath? I know you guys are totally amused by me losing tools, but I've got 3 right here. That one looks to be it, but it's too small. So that is a number 2. I'm looking for 2.5 probably. Let's see, 3mm. 2.5. So I'm going to loosen this. And I'm going to see if I can align this better, but it doesn't want to. So there could be a couple things going on. Either I'm not flat with the surface, something is obstructing it, or they bent it. So I'm gonna let this go for now, because that is not like a major issue to worry about. And I may have mounted this on the wrong side of the printer, which someone's about to tell me probably, but let's take a look. Yep. So this is on the wrong side. So we can fix that real quick. Essentially, we're gonna have to take it out. This is not uncommon for me when I'm assembling these, not to freak people out. It's 2.5 probably. And it's not a hard thing to fix. Just a hard thing to see when you got this on the wrong side. So it also solves the issue of why we're seeing issues with that. Excuse me while I drop everything. And here's the other bolt, and I think it was 2.5 that I was working with, which I probably just dropped on my foot. There's 1.5, 2.5. No, this is extremely boring. There we go. That's one. Let's do the other one. Looks like I'm gonna have to loosen this a little. There we go, and it looks like it's centered now. So I guess the cool thing was having this on the wrong side told us we were doing something wrong. So I'm going to tighten this down. Okay, we're good there. Let's do the power supply, even though that's going to be good times. So the power supply is set to the wrong voltage for the US. I believe it's supposed to be 115 or 110 as we were discussing earlier. Now the power is going to be mounted, I believe, like this. So we have one hole here. Let's take a look around. Actually, it's like this. So we have one hole here, and it mounts through. So it's coming in through this side. So let's turn this 180 degrees, hopefully not knocking over everything again. And I gotta avoid the camera. And I knocked some stuff over. Normally I would do this on a very big desk or on the floor, but as you can see, I don't have a very big desk to actually shoot this while I do it. So let's look up what those screws are, and apparently you haven't seen anything I've done. So essentially I remounted this on the other side. Now we have to go back over here and mount this. So in order to do that, we have to find out what the bolts are. So they're probably up here, and I skipped it earlier. So let's see. Where are those going to be? We're going to have to do that in a second. So it looks like those are the M20s that we were looking for that go through. Double check. So let's go back over and try that. So I got the power supply. I've already changed the correct voltage in theory. So now we're going to do the M420s, I guess, which are those. Let me see what we got here for comments, because you guys are probably losing your minds. Okay, well, it looks like it's quiet on the comments. So let's go back over and look at the directions, because you know that might make life easy. So these are going to mount right through. And of course I've got this backwards, so we look at this and we put it over here. And the screw goes through here. And then we start up here. So I need to find the right screwdriver for it. Let's see if this is it. Yep. So it's going to be hard for me to see, so I'm going to feel around while you guys watch me struggle. Okay, that feels good. Take the other one. I may have to loosen the top one to do this. Okay, that looks good. So now we got to worry about the actual y-axis, or excuse me, x-axis. So let's go back over and look and see what I missed. So we've got this done, we've got this done, we've got this done. So let's see where the fun begins. Okay, so x-axis, X-bearing installation. It looks like we're going to be good with the belt on this one. So let's see what we need to do. So the longer side is going to have this hole on it. So they're talking about this. So there's a hole here and a hole here. So let's try and understand what they're saying. So there's one at the very edge, and then there's one that's kind of at the edge. I gotta figure out which direction I'm messed up on. So what I'm trying to say is this. I'm looking at this, and you can see that you got 3 holes here, and you got 3 holes here, but they're more spread out. So I got to figure out where that is in space. So let's go back over here and see if they actually show it. Okay, so there's the bar. That's on the left-hand side here, so I've got it upside down in theory. And it says B1. So let's see what we got here. So if we're looking at this, the 3 long screws are going to be on this side. So that piece, let's see if we can find that. And the bolts for that are lovely. Let's see if they show it. I guess those are M4 by 16s. So for these two, that's what I'm assuming. I'm not going to read through all of this. So let's go try it. So let me see if I can dig through and find those bolts. Okay, so this says M416. So take this out, see what we get. We've got a total of 5 of them, and we need to mount on this side the long piece. Which is this. So it's not going to be like that. It's probably going to be like that. And then that little space hole that we felt right here is going to be that. So let's start by seeing if this goes in. So the good thing is we know what direction it's working off of. And let's try doing the other one as well. Let me find the driver for this. Hoping it's this one. Of course it's not. So here we go. Yeah, I know, I'm a klutz. That's not the right size. There we go. So we're 50%, or I'm sorry, 30% done with this, maybe 33. So let's try doing the other pieces. So we're going to have to put the actual print head on, and it's on the opposite side. I think that goes on second, but they're not real clear, and it might be open on the other side. So let's see if we can get a better visual. So this being somewhat light tells me it might be on the other side, but it might be on this side. So let's look at something better. There we go. So this is going to be on the other side. The tensioner is going to be on here, and this is going to be on the front. So this is where it gets fun, because these cables, let me move it over so you can see what I'm doing. So this is going to be actually like so, I believe, but I'm doing it wrong. So I think it's like this. Yeah, that's my guess. We'll see how bad my guess is in a second. Yeah, that works. So let's pop that off. This is going to be on the front. So let's see if we can untangle the cables as best we can. Okay, sorry this is all over the place, but there's where the print head's going to be. So this is going to slide through like so. So there's the actual movement. So now we got to find the front half. Let's go over and see what we're doing. So now that we have this piece on, we're going to have to put this piece on. And so there's going to be probably some mounting screws that I'm missing in the actual design of this document. So I'm assuming there's bolts here that we're not seeing. And of course it's super clear where they are. So let me grab the other piece. This orientation wise, as I bring up the screen, is going to be, that's going to be on the rail, and it's oriented that way. So this has to mount somehow in here. Let me see. This is going to be pointing up. So I think it's going to be like that. But I might have it backwards. But that's what it feels like. So let's see what we got in the diagram. So sure enough, it does look like it's over it, but does it say what bolts we're using, or are they the same? Of course it doesn't say, but let's see what we got up here. So it's the E portion, and it did say that there's 4 of those, and there's 2 mount holes probably. So let's give these a try. So hopefully the camera doesn't blink out in a second, but you can see that that's what we want to go with probably. And it's probably going to be like that. So let's try this. These might thread through. I'm probably picking up the wrong size again. And I dropped the tool probably. There we go. Something doesn't feel right. So I might be doing this backwards because, well, it looks to be right. I may have to check the directions. So let's take these out. We know it's an M4. It just might be a longer one. Let's see what we got. So it does say use 4 of them. So that might be a good clue that I'm doing something off. So let's scroll down and see what we got here. Figure 3. So let's scan for figure 3. Position the pulley K2. That's the wrong side. So here, so this is going to be on top. That's going to be out in front. going to be allegedly like so. Let's try doing it through the other side. I don't want to damage the end stop, so I'm probably going to have to pick this up. Let's see how far it goes with my hand turning it. So it's looking like it's good. Let's see if it goes all the way down. Say, turn the camera off on you guys again and drop the screwdriver. So I'm just checking this right now. Let me grab the screwdriver. So for some reason it's not threading all the way through, and I feel it should. So there's concern there. Now obviously this is probably not as hard as I think. I'm probably doing something incorrect directionally. But let's try going back down through here. So the fit on this rail is the issue. So it's almost like I'm using the wrong screw. So let's check the directions, because this is not good. So what we're trying to figure out are these, and it's saying use a rounded one. And it's saying it is 16, but it's figure 1. So figure 1. Boy, this is good times. There's figure 2, figure 2. That's awesome. So B1, figure 1, just trying to understand what's going on here. I think I have it mostly correct, but apparently I don't. So let's jump ahead and look around. Yeah, it definitely is going in there, but I wonder if it's mounting from the other side and I just don't know it. Nope. Unless there's through holes. So let me take a look at this. So there are through holes right here, which tells me that I'm screwing that way. So that's the first issue. So I've got to put these in like so, and then screw through, which makes me super nervous because I'm going to break that. And then this goes through here. And then this Sorry, I'm just trying to orient the way this should be. So it's got to go through this hole, which I'm not seeing because I'm working from the other side. There we go. So I guess crisis averted, but now we know. So find the other hole. Now if it doesn't screw right, don't screw it all the way down. Sometimes you can back off and then go forward, but if it's not feeling right, don't go forward too much. Okay, so now we have this done. So essentially, this is going to mount on here. I'm obviously not able to see what I'm doing, so you guys are being amused to all get out. So I'm trying to find the hole up here and then turn it through. This is where I get my hands massively dirty. So currently I can't see what I'm doing, which is not a good thing, but I've got to move my car in a bit and you can't even see what I'm doing. But essentially at the very top over here, I'm trying to get the T8 with the actual rail through it. And right now I've got a lot of oil on my fingers from, apparently this is very lubricated, but we're good there. What I'm probably gonna do is let's see what else we can assemble without making a mess. So I'm gonna leave this off just for the moment. And of course, the probably next step is putting the top pieces on for these, which I got a horrible angle here, but let's go back to the manual and see what we got here. Let's see, yeah, it's saying put the top piece on, so essentially I have to mount these on top, and then I gotta plug the holes. Then this is for the feeder, so essentially all I can do today is probably power this up and try and move the X or Z axes, because the Y axis is we'll say foobar for the moment until I order parts. So it's looking like the parts that I'm going to have to order at the moment are belts, and then we have to get those little screws. So this is what I'm talking about, is the plate. So this plate right here, we need these two to put it together, and then we can reassemble it with the heat bed. So the costs that I'm seeing for this printer that I ordered on eBay and the nightmare parts that we have to order or print are this piece here that might be $19. I'm going to see if I can find it someplace cheaper. It's the metal piece, or straighten it. And then the belts, which are $9.90 something, probably about 10 bucks after tax, for the Y axis because they broke it, and then remount that. Then I'll have to assemble the remaining part of this again, and then also the tensioner I left off on this side of the X axis. So I'll have to take care of that. That part is in the actual stuff. So actually we could probably do this. So this is the Z axis end stop. We tested with this earlier. So essentially it needs to be loosened a little and then slid down the rail, but it's going to be slid down the rail probably this way. So let's give that a try. Sorry, this desktop is a nightmare. Let's see how much you can see. Well, not much. So essentially I've got to take this, and I believe it's going to go down this way and then connect over here. So this will be connected under here to the Z. So in order to do that, I've got to slide this down this rail. So I'm going to have to loosen these up. Give me a second to find the right size. And these will basically teeth in once they're correct. You will have to calibrate these. So I'm doing this incorrectly apparently. So let me check the directions, because I think it's actually this way. This is what I get for jumping out of order on this. Okay, so that looks like where the piece is going to be. So it's on the outside edge, so it's perpendicular to the motor, as you can see right here. So the motor, so it's probably going to be right here on the outside. So I'm going to slide it down here. It looks like it's sliding into place, so I'm going to tighten it down. Not too tight, because I'm going to actually fix it later probably. And then I have to slide this over and hook it up. So for now I'm going to leave that disconnected just so I can assemble everything else. And then we'll sort this out in the coming days, because that's going to be good times. There is a tensioner that I want to put on here that needs to be mounted on this side, I believe, for the cable. So that's going to be down in the box hopefully. But the good thing is we're not as low on pieces as we thought for this printer. So maybe my opinion is keep your mind on that you may have to buy about $30 to $40 worth of parts, or trade with a friend, or fix the parts. But right now I'm looking for a part I know I have. I just need to know where I put it. So essentially I made a mess out of my desk, and I'm looking for the tensioner, which I just found. Also, you can update these tensioners. So this is the part, and it's going to go right over here. So I have to loosen these bolts as well. Yeah, normally I do this on a big desk. I know you guys hate the way I'm doing it right now. I don't even know if anybody's online, but I'm sure there are. So this goes in here for now. You're going to tension it later. There are tensioners they make that you can update with. That's probably not perfectly on, but for now that's good enough. Let's grab the actual cable. So here's, yeah, I'm dropping stuff. So here's the actual cable. So essentially we have to thread this through a bunch of stuff. So this goes along the top rail, and the trick is you can push this over it, then pull it through, and then drive it through around here, which is slightly harder. So I think you have to drive it all the way straight out and then back around. Of course, you're not seeing what I'm doing. So take this, pull it, drive it out the other end, hopefully. Apparently I can't see what I'm doing. So you can always add more slack to this. Just keep pulling it. And then this will mount on the actual extruder sled. And I'm having a great time doing this without being able to see. The magic of the camera I'll be able to show you in a second. Okay. So I pushed it through the other side where I could see it. This is going to go under here and around, so the metal's stuck behind it. Then you can pull it back the other way. Then you'll come back around. It looks like I got this actually twisted. So apparently when I moved this, I caused this to get goofed up. So you'll have to work this back and forth until you can get it. There we go. So now it's back in the right direction. I'll rotate it around, and then you're gonna have to pull this up and slide this in. Now you may have to get a belt tensioner eventually, but the trick is you can actually pull this out by loosening it and then tensioning it. You want it to get really tensioned. So that essentially is the assembly for this, which I don't want to put on without knocking over the camera, but we're good there. So it looks like the parts that we're gonna have to order are going to be related to the actual bed. So this piece and the other piece being this, which I'll probably go pound out between two large blocks of somewhat flat weights, and then take a hammer to it and make it like normal in theory. So that might cut down the cost of what I need to order, and then I can reassemble this. And then I'm guessing the worst part's going to be just ordering the belts, which is $9 because you're going to need a new belt, or you can rethread the belt. Some people in the video chat know how to do it. I do as well, but I normally don't. It's basically taking a piece of metal and putting it around it and then crimping it. And then you can add a tensioner here as well. And then these two pieces. So I'm gonna have some extra parts after I order new parts. So I may just resell those. But essentially this is only gonna cost probably, in my case, I'm estimating probably about $40 to upgrade and fix. So that would bring the cost of this to about $130 versus $200. But if you don't want to do that, buy a brand new printer. It'll make your life a lot easier. That way you also have a warranty. But I already know how to fix any kind of issue with the board. The extruder I'll show you some other time. This is like 2 seconds to fix. It's basically you take off this shroud, unscrew the actual connections that are underneath here, and then unbolt this, lift it off, put a new one in, take out the screws that are in the new one, and use these, and your life will be pretty good. So this is the last thing to fix with this. So I'm gonna go see if I can fix that. I also have to go move my car. If you like the video or the live stream, you're welcome to like and subscribe. If you're new, normally my videos don't look like this. Normally they're scaled a lot smaller. And if you want a tip, there's now Buy Me a Cup of Coffee, as well as PayPal and Patreon if you want to join there. And of course, I put a link in there for the Discord that is free. Just remember that I do work at a job, so I'm not available all the time. But everyone, take care, be safe, and I'll talk to you later.